I was still left there to still figure out things by myself. But just imagine if you had a mentor or someone to guide you, or a really close friend that was looking out for you. I think for me, I would have been further ahead in my journey in life.
Welcome to another special edition of Living Boldly with Purpose. I am Dr. B. I am your host. And when we get to talk about purpose and why people do the things they do, I so enjoy the guests that we have and the conversations we get to have, and learning new things from new people and why they do some of the things that they do. Why I do. I get to learn from myself every time I do one of these episodes to learn, okay, Brian, what is it that you do that's different and why? And sometimes you just get to have conversations with fun people. And so today I get Miss Francois. And she already told me that she is amazing. So I don't know what amazing means at this point, but we together are going to find out why she's living in purpose and why she's so excited. When we talked earlier, maybe you can figure out where her accent's from. She said that she lives in New York, which is amazing because not everybody gets to live in New York. Never everybody wants to live in New York, but those who do are special people. And so, but she doesn't come from New York, and you'll be able to tell by her accent. And so, but we are going to spend time, and we're going to just chop it up as far as what it is in life that we can do that allows us to serve people. And Miss Francois, one of the things that I say every single morning when I wake up is, dear Lord, give me the wisdom to do the things that you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves others. Because I don't know, maybe you can help us with this, if you can be in purpose and living your purpose and not serve others. And as we try to explore this in this podcast, I think you have to. And then what does that look like in your life? And so thank you for being on. Thank you for taking your time. You may hear her stomach growl because she's hungry, but I'm going to keep her on this podcast as long as I can, so she can go eat afterwards and know that she just did this incredible job talking to us today. So, Miss Francois, please tell us your story.
Hello, Dr. B. So as Dr. B said, my name is Miss Francois. I know I didn't misspell it. MSS stands for multi-talented and super sexy. I mean, it's obvious. So that's easy. So as you can hear, I have an accent. I am from Trinidad and Tobago. Just so you know, it's one of the sexiest accents in the world. Yes, you can Google that and you're welcome. With that said, I grew up from a really large family in Trinidad and Tobago, a huge family. And when you come from a large family and everybody around you tend to be called auntie and uncle, it's just a family. Everybody, that's what it is, right? That's what you're accustomed to. And as a child, you learn to respect your elders. Even if they're telling you something wrong, your elders are always right. That's the rule. So when I migrated here in my late teens, I had a serious culture shock. So just imagine coming from this small island, we have like 1.5 million people, to United States of America, where everything's supposed to be paved with gold and everybody's happy and money is flowing, to come somewhere where your family mistreats you. You get all your stuff put in a black garbage bag and put on the side of the street. When you come here, everyone always have this amazing story of how great things going to be and how much money you're going to make. But no one really tells you the true story of all the stress, frustration, anger, hurt, confusion that you experience when you're brand new to a country or even a state like New York. So after I had that happen to me, where I had all my things thrown out on the side of the street, and keep in mind, that was my first year, so I wasn't even in the country that long. So I am clueless, and I was 17, but with a mind of like a 10-year-old. So I did not know where I was going, what I was going to do. But I must say, at the end of the day, family is the one that failed me, and strangers are the one that helped me. So I just want to add this one story that when my things were thrown outside, I remember
Who threw your things out?
My aunt. I came outside. I came home, come from work,
Yes.
And I have a bag, a black. I always say black garbage bag because you remember seeing the black garbage bag just outside the door, right? And that was all my things. I guess the only good thing about it, I haven't been in the country for maybe 9 months, so I
Mhm.
didn't have much.
Okay, you didn't have much to throw out, but
Yeah.
all in one bag, and your aunt was obviously not happy with you for whatever reason, and she decided that it's time for you to find somewhere else to live.
Right. And I think with my aunt, I always say when I look back, they were more about money than morals. So some of the things they did for money wasn't how I grew up. It just wasn't the norm. And those are things that I was not accustomed doing and I was not willing to do. So I think it was a lot of that, and they just don't want to have an extra mouth to feed, right?
Mhm.
And if I had enough money and I would give them a certain amount of money, they'll be fine for like a few days, and then because when they cook, they never gave me anything to eat. So I was living off of Cheerios and milk. I
Oh
still love
God.
Cheerios and milk up until today. And I worked at McDonald's at the time, and I was cute. Well, I'm still cute. So all the guys used to buy my meals because back then you didn't get your meals for free. You had to pay half price. And I was making what, $125 a week. So it's crazy. But one of the best things this is what I always tell people, be nice to everybody you meet along the way. Because when I used to walk to work, I used to walk to work like a 20 minutes walk. Plus, I'm Caribbean. I thought walking was normal, right? I
Mhm.
didn't get into the bus thing. I used to tell this Baba every time I passed by, I used to say, good evening, good morning. I'm Caribbean, so good night. And I was just always polite. So when I got thrown out, I got a cab and I dropped out by the barber shop. Mind you, I don't even know the guy like that, right? But I told him my situation, and so when I told him my situation, he said, "Well, I can't really fully help you because I have a wife, so I can't bring you home, right?" And then he was talking about maybe I could sleep in the barber shop that night because it's not like I'm loaded. I don't know anywhere really. I don't even know that many people. And so happened this particular a guy came up and he was gay. So I have to put that in because back then, that's years ago. So he was like the flaming gay, like, oh my God, kind of gay. So the barber asked him, he said, do you mind, taking this girl home, total stranger, with you because she have no place to stay? Like when I tell this story, it just sounds like I'm making it up, right?
Yep.
And the first thing the guy, and he has a do-rag and he's like, what? Oh my God, like those, right? So then he goes to me, he's like, don't I know you? He's like, didn't I cuss you out a few weeks ago? He did cuss me out, right?
Really, he remembered you. Okay.
Yes, because he came to McDonald's and I'm new. Remember, in the Caribbean, nobody's working at my age. Your parents take care of you, but you have to have a job in America. It seemed like everyone have a job. And this was my first job and I didn't know about the meals and it comes with a drink and a fry. So every time someone ordered a number, I used to have to turn around. So when I turned around to give him to say like, okay, cheeseburger, okay, fries, he was like, you're hiring dumb people up and like he just went off on me. But I must say, because he went off on me,
Uh,
that I remember that day I went and I learned all the meals by heart. So
ah,
but the funny thing is, what are the chances him being the same person that pulls up who cussed me out and remembers me? So he was nice enough to take a total stranger to his house. And even though I make light of the story now, think about it. That was a total stranger. Yes, he was gay, but how do I know he wouldn't have raped me?
yeah.
Wouldn't have killed me. It's not like someone I knew, right? But he was really polite to me. He took me home. We put on dresses. We
Oh
watched a
gosh.
movie and it was fun. So I'm just grateful that someone who did me wrong, everything, God was definitely looking out for me because that could have turned out so badly. But because at least I had a place to stay, someone else like let me stay with them for like a week, and then a friend of my dad allowed me to stay with them because I should have said I was in New Jersey first, and then I came to New York after that situation.
Gotcha. So your aunt takes you out, you stay with this person, and then you call your dad and you cry to him. Who's the dad?
Well,
You
he
say,
was fussing what? Because that was his sister. So that's the
"Oh
shit.
my God!
Family, right? Family, the
Oh."
best.
So he's now angry with his sister, but he still got to figure out what to do with his baby.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
to
And I'm a
another relative.
baby.
Yeah, to another relative. And then how did it work out with the new
So
relative?
the thing is, it wasn't even a relative. That used to be the person I was with. I call her mom because she's like a
Okay.
mom to me. It was one of his ex-girlfriends from those days of high school or whatever the case might
Wow.
be. But she was nice enough to take care of me, and she took care of me just like if I was one of her daughters. A total stranger. Isn't that amazing?
You were so blessed. So now you're trying to figure out New York, you're figuring out America. What does life look like now after you?
It's very confusing because I think one of the things I always look back, people always say, "Oh, never have regrets," right? And I'm like, we all have regrets. We just pretend we don't, and we pretend we're okay with it because we know we cannot change it. But we
Yeah.
all have regrets, right? So I think my biggest thing was when I look back and go through those days and times, is that I didn't have proper support. Like I didn't have proper direction. So I was still left there to still figure out things by myself. But just imagine if you had a mentor or someone to guide you or a really close friend that was looking out for you. I think for me, I would have been further ahead in my journey in life, but I think I was mimicking anybody around me trying to figure out and find my way. So that was kind of hard. And I feel like it did set me back at least 5 years. But everything
Well,
happens for a reason, right? God just
absolutely.
didn't tell you.
No,
He
no,
just don't tell you why.
yeah. Why'd you come to America? What was the reasoning at
Cause
17 years
your
old?
parents stupid. Your parents have no, okay. Most of the time, your parents are thinking about you. They want the best for you. Like, I want my child to have the best. And in everyone's mind, especially when you come from such a small island, and think back, your parents, especially my parents in the Caribbean, half of them didn't finish school, right? My
Mhm.
dad must he finished school when he left school when he was like 9. My mom left school when she was like 13. So they're just doing the best they can, right? And when I was growing up, my mom left when I was like 11. So I was taking care of my brothers, two brothers, they're twins, and my sister. So I was kind of doing a lot of mom duties since I was 11. And one of the things is my dad felt in his heart, like, okay, my daughter, the apple of his eye, he's like, okay, or she been doing adult stuff. Let her get a chance to do something for herself. But I wish sometimes in the Caribbean household they would ask their kids. I didn't want to come to America. I had no desire. It was never a dream. I used to look up in the sky and say, "Oh, America up in the sky," and I didn't really care. But I think he did it for good reasons. But if he had asked me, I would not have come because think about me coming here. All for the first few months, all I did was cry. It was very hard, very traumatizing. I would not wish that on anybody.
Did you try to go to school while you were here, or
Oh,
you just went to
so
straight
the
to
best
college?
thing about me
Uh-huh.
is that I'm self-motivated and naturally driven. I didn't know that at the time. I thought I had this thing that everybody is like me. So every time there's an opportunity, I take advantage of every opportunity. So I get to stand before you and say I have 2 master's degrees. I do not play, but every chance I get, so I worked even it doesn't matter. Like if I worked in a financial institution, and even in the financial institution, they would pay for school, part of your school, right? They said they'll pay for it after a year. I was asking every 2 months, is it now? Is it now? Like, so wherever there's an opportunity, I'm gonna take advantage. Don't tell me there's anything anywhere. I will figure it out, find it, and do it.
Gotcha. So did you enjoy school when
I
you got
hate school. Like
you
I
hated it?
don't. I hate it.
So
Okay,
you went
I'm not even gonna lie, but I understand the concept and why. I think, like they said, a lot of times they said they have school, the system to see if you can actually follow through and complete something. So that's one of the reasons I get why school is important. And I think the best part of school for me was the people and the teachers and those things that I learned about the world, like the conversation sometimes. But no, I do not like school whatsoever. But if it's an opportunity, remember when you get a piece of paper in the society we live in, no one could take that piece of paper away from me. So I'll keep my piece of paper.
there you go. Was it always New York, or did you want to live in any other part of the United States?
I do not like cold. I just wish if New York could just be warm, my life would be perfect. I
Well,
like New York,
Florida.
and huh?
Why aren't you in Florida like all the other New Yorkers who don't like to be cold?
No, no, no. Florida is still too much old people. Like
Okay.
you gotta think before you make that move. And I think like anything else, it's scary, right? People change is still scary. And when you're accustomed 25 years in one particular place, you could get up, you could any food you want. You're meeting someday you walk down the street and meet your family and friends that you didn't even know was living up here. It's like New York to me is still more of a family oriented place, different from where I come from, but still family oriented. Everywhere else I find is everyone kind of keeps to themselves, and you when it's September, Labor Day on the park where everybody jumping, it's carnival time, it's everything is a festival, it's cultural. So I love that aspect, but can it just be warm?
Yeah, no, you didn't go to the part of the world that's warm. You
I
just
know,
went to
right?
the part of the
Well,
world
that's
that's
for my dad.
populated.
I think if I had a choice, definitely I would have picked like more of a Florida, because I remember visiting Florida and I was like, oh, I want to live here. But in my mind, I was like, it has hibiscus flowers like in Trinidad, so this must be like mini Trinidad. But I mean, I like everything else except the weather.
Except for the weather. So you start working, going to school. Are you trying to do the family thing? Are you trying to date? What is your world like
Are you
with
trying to get cussed on your own podcast? You're trying to get cussed out, right? So let me tell you something. Who I am today is because of lots of failed relationships. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess thank you to a point. But I think again everything happens. You take a lot of things from your childhood. A lot of these little no everything is everybody have some kind of trauma, right? So when I even look back when I was growing up here, I thought I was ugly. I thought I wasn't that smart. I thought I wasn't special. So whatever you think about yourself, that's what you attract. So I attract a lot of people who I had to help and hold their hands, and they like to cheat, and it's like I attract the worst of the worst. Not it wasn't worse, but good, better, best. No, they sucked, right? But that's my fault. So I always say at the same time, even though they were not the nicest people in many instances, I still have to take responsibility for making certain choices.
Gotcha. So when I talk about identity, I love to talk about identity and the identity that we become as a result, usually of the people that we hang around with. You went through several identity shifts in however old you are now and throughout your story that you're telling. What would you say are the main things that shape that identity? And what does it mean to have an identity where you're at now?
I think one of the biggest things is different intervals or different times in your life, right? So one was definitely coming here. And one of them was one main relationship. Like I was in this relationship for 7 years. This is a love of your life. Oh my God, I'm going to marry and have one with the kids. And you see the white picket fence and everything. And I think that created a huge shift in my life, thinking that I wasn't good enough. And because of that, it's like you start searching outside yourself for something to say, to validate who you are, to feel special, to think that you matter. So that was a shift. And that's the thing that brought me into some of the stuff that I did. And I realized even on with those things, I started to use humor to make myself feel better.
Gotcha. And as your identity, so when you see yourself now, what do you, I mean, or do you see yourself as a person who is just fun to be with all the time,
Oh my God,
humor?
let me tell you, I'm so amazing. I mean, it's a reason I'm MSS, right? Multi-talented and super sexy. Like, it's amazing when I even look back, the confidence that I have now. Ain't no, yo, let me tell you, no supermodel could come tell me anything. I am beautiful inside and outside. Nobody could honestly get me down. The only person could get me down is myself, and that's not happening. Okay, I have come a long way, and now in this present moment, I have made peace with a lot of things in the past, because sometimes when people talk about their past or certain instances, they still feel teary-eyed and get sad. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
So how does that shift happen? Because it's obviously been a transformation. You were able to do it. You were able to move from the shy girl that doesn't believe that she's enough, in a strange land, and now you're this outgoing, terrific, amazing woman. And that doesn't happen overnight. But what
But
shift?
Exactly. It doesn't happen overnight. Well, I say it like this. If you're learning to ride a bike and you keep falling, after a while you're gonna get a helmet, some knee pads, some elbow pads. You're gonna be starting to search for certain things, right? So I realize again, like even talking now, you start to look back. When you start searching for things, I started listening to a lot of like Les Brown, Zig
Okay.
Ziglar, Earl Nightingale, a lot of motivational stuff. I read a lot. I read an average of 20 to 22 books a year, and that's minus all the different classes and things that I take. So I think the shift happened for me that I can pinpoint for sure, like around 2012. I still had a lot of work, but around that's when I started doing a lot of like personal development and getting a better understanding of the kind of person that I am, and being conscious of the people I hang around, being conscious of stuff that I read, stuff that I listen to, things that I watch. So it's like full circle.
And I love what you just said because so many people don't think they have to work on themselves. They don't think personal
Crazy.
development is important. They just kind of exist. I don't get it because they're not, and a lot of people aren't even willing to spend any money on personal development,
Yeah,
right? They
people
just
think I'm crazy. Like I'm crazy, but then I'll say at the same time I might be crazy, but it's like some people who like to try to give you advice and then about certain things that you're doing in your life, and then I look at them like, what have you done? Like, why are you talking to me?
I'm looking at you. I don't want your life. So why are you telling me what to
Yeah,
do?
someone always have something to say. Like when I had my TV show, oh, you know what? You should do this when you interview, and then you should lean like this. And I'm like, and what class, what degree, what show do you have? How much? Like what? Like when were you when I needed help in the beginning? Because a lot of times when you start anything, yeah, I got you, girl. I'm gonna be there. And then when it starts, you can't find anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I
I
hit,
love
I
it.
hit, I hit home. You can feel that. You remember those days, right?
Oh gosh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. So one of the things I started a podcast because I went to a event that was about trust and about how to trust and start everything with trust. You got to trust people, and it was some really good information. But when I was there, I was looking around the room, and there was 400 people in the room. Now I'm in Minneapolis, so it's I'm expecting it to be mostly all white. But then there's only like 30 folks of color in the room. And as I'm looking at it around the room, and I tell myself, well, I don't need to see other people who look like me doing the same thing, but I'm lying to myself because I do, because I'm actually counting how many of us are in the room, right? And and I do that at all places I go on. So yeah, it matters, but I don't think it matters, right? But he talks about, and why is our community not getting this information? Because we don't trust each other, we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust our women, we don't trust our men, we don't trust white folks, we just don't trust it all.
Yeah, true.
Um, and so I'm saying I need to come home and I need to start working on how do I develop trust or do this within our communities. What do you think about trust? Because you've had situations where you go live with your aunt and she throws all your stuff out, so that's not a trusting situation.
Yeah.
You go, but then on the other side you got the gay guy who you go live with and you get to trust him. So talk to me about
So,
trust.
so, so for me, right? I
Yeah.
always say when I meet someone, I think this even come from childhood. I come from a very loving, huggy family, right? So again, these things start from somewhere, right? And so I'm always trusting initially. I always say you have to give me a reason not to trust you. And I think that makes it easier for me to talk to someone, have a conversation. Because I feel like as soon as if I go in not trusting, I'm it's like it's harder for me. Again, that's my experience, right? So I do tend to be much more open and trusting. I mean, I ain't gonna bring you home with me or lend you money, but I'm willing to just be open and have conversations. Let the person mess it up, and then I'm gonna do my part and slowly move away. But it's not that for me. It's not that hard.
And to me, that's a huge gift. And I'm the same way, where I trust until you give me a reason not to. But at the same time, people can take advantage of you. You look at
Right.
all the relationships that you've had, right? You trust,
Yes, believe
and then
me.
then you
I have
have
a few of those.
you. Why did I trust you in the first place? So I guess there's good and bad on both of it, but it's good to know that there are still people who say, I'm going to trust first. Because as I interview and do a lot of these interviews, I find so many people say, "I'm not trusting you for nothing, in no way, no kind of way. That you're going to have to prove to me you're trustworthy."
Yeah,
It's kind of hard.
and I think I have so many examples in my life where total strangers, just with
Hmm.
my put, because I tend to be very outgoing, and so people gravitate towards me, my amazing charisma. So, but in a lot of examples I have of strangers barely knowing them, and they have done more for me than people that I've known for 20, 25 years. So to me, that's why I think also it's much more easier for me to trust, because it has evidence of why it might be a good thing to trust.
Yeah, well, that's so cool. The
Oh, don't be jealous.
Oh my gosh. Uh, do you have any children? Not children? What?
No, unless you want to give me some. No.
I have eight.
Oh, I didn't know he was
I have a
asking.
couple of mine. I have 8 and 16 grandkids. So if you want to have some of mine, you're more than welcome. So I have a big family, as you came from. And so, yeah, that's just cool. Just
I
trying to.
definitely want kids. It's something since I was a kid, I wanted kids. Like, people say, oh, you're an independent woman and oh, you must intimidate men and all that crap. But my thing is, I always wanted to be barefoot and pregnant in the house, serving my man. That's how I was kind of raised, but I like it. Oh, I'm an independent woman, whatever. I don't need a man. Like, okay, you don't need no man, but I want one. So that's those women. That's not me.
All right.
Okay. Just so you know, whoever is listening, I'm
Yeah.
5'5", brown eyes, caramel complexion, total perfection, just in case you checking me out. Okay. But you have to at least be over 5'9". So anyway, I'm just saying, but I'm not doing the 6 feet.
No,
See,
I
I
love it.
can
I love it.
exactly. I don't even
Oh
know
my
what.
gosh, I love it. So I'm doing a podcast now on Sunday nights, and I'll invite you to it at some point when you want to come, because it's called Why Love Waits, and I have 5 women and 5 men, and we're talking about the Black family and why we've gone from, like, in the 1960s. Uh, when I look at the statistic, 50% of Black women have never been over the age of 40, have never been married, but 75% of that 50% has at least one child. And so the family,
Mm.
excuse me, the family unit has just been, our country has systematically figured out how to not have families together anymore. And I think families are so important. I think God
Yes.
created us to be together. They didn't create us. He didn't create us to be alone. But men have issues, right? Because the men that are telling me, "Well, I don't ever want to get married because then I have to give her half." Well, you've already decided that
Yeah.
you're
I
not
think
going
we
to stay
start,
there.
anytime we think relationships, everyone starts to think of all the negatives,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
And I've seen all the older gentlemen, and especially successful men, the older generation says, if it's one thing you do, especially when it comes to business, is finding the right mate, because finding the right mate could elevate you to just the stratosphere, right? Because and I think now everyone is like, I could do it alone. And I always tell people, no matter what you do in life, I can't understand when someone say, I did it alone all by myself. That's impossible. You had to
And who
have
would
help
want
along
to?
the way.
Who would want to do it all by themselves, right?
Yes, that's not fun. Like, one of the things, so I'm not in a relationship right now, but one of the things I tell people, because everybody have things that they value. One of the biggest thing for me is support,
Mhm.
right? So sometimes I'm like, well, I could be Oprah, why can't you be Stedman, right? But anyway, like, I win an award, you get a certificate, you walk, you in front of the stage, because I'm on stages all the time, and then I walk down and there's nobody there. That is sad. No one to just go, hey, babe, or give you a hug or give you a smile. That makes such a huge difference. It's cute when everyone is clapping and shouting, but then you go home and you're by yourself. That is sad.
I don't even know how I could go, a month by myself. I'm so
Well, you
dependent.
always had company, so that would be
Oh
hard.
yeah, I never, and I don't know if that's on purpose or I suppose I could survive. I don't want to, because like you said, I can't imagine going doing all the things I do and then not
Yes,
having that support, not having somebody to
yes,
say, even when I mess up, right? Because I'm not perfect all the time. But somebody
right,
to say, "It's okay, baby. I love you anyways. You suck
right,
tonight. You were terrible, but we'll try
yes,
it again tomorrow," right? Instead of being in
yes.
my own head all the time. Oh my gosh. So you talk about being on stages and stuff. So what are the things that you do that you're serving people and whether it's creating laughter or just what are the things that you do in order to make this world a better place?
So, I like that. Make this, oh, Michael Jackson, my number one. So, one of the things that I do a few things. When it comes to stages, I I have a one woman show called Frustrated that I have done like on off Broadway. I've gone to other cities and Texas. I had a show. It's just a one-hour show, just basically going through my relationship journey. Hence why it's frustrated. But I always say, even though I bring the laughter, I always make sure there's a lesson at the end of it. Because when you go through all the journey of relationships, sometimes you're searching for love in all the wrong places. And at the end of it is you need to love yourself first and love yourself more before you could bring someone into that, right? So that's one thing that I do. I love that part. I think that's one thing I said, if I have the opportunity, which I do believe I will, I would want to take that like nationally and internationally and just tour with that. And the other things that I do speak on stages. It has to do with a lot of woman conferences and events and networking. And most of the stuff that I talk about is just being able to like getting over heartbreak or setback and just being able to transition to the next chapter in your life, but making sure you, especially in women, because mine is mostly focused on women. So I support women that are exploring new relationships or healing from broken relationship. I help them to rediscover your self-identity, because a lot of times when you're in relationships, what happens? It's always about everybody else and then you forget about yourself. So when your relationship ends, you all of a sudden you're confused and you're lost and you're hurt and you have all these emotions. So I say I want you, when you get out of all of this, or even before you search for that new person or find that new person, make sure you're transitioning to the next chapter confidently and you know who you are. So that's one things I talk about. And I also do something called comedic monologues, which
All right.
anytime you see I do anything with humor and comedy, it makes me happy, right? Because I think I am a big advocate of laughter, and I always tell people Google laughter. It's stress reliever. It heals pain. It brings connection. It just does so many different things. Even when I do my talk show, if I'm talking or I do these comedic monologues, like 5 to 7 minutes, I might tell a story. I'm not a comedian, but I tell a story. It has the lesson, but it has the humor. You're gonna remember it more. You're gonna tell your friend about it more. Because sometimes when you don't have the humor, people we already don't retain a lot, right? So when I finish with my story, you're gonna remember a lot of it, because I always come with the humor, but I come with the shock value also. But it's always centered about women and being your best self at the end of the day.
As a woman, what does it mean to be your best self? What does
What
that
needs
look
to
like?
be to be for me is to
For you,
be.
yeah, let's do you because you're a
Oh,
woman and
yes, because it's me. Because so everybody gonna have something to say, though. But to be authentically you,
okay.
because who I am right now, again, I have grown a lot. But I even remember when at times when I don't know if you know about Toastmasters public speaking,
Yeah.
right? So when I started example Toastmasters, you saw all these people, professors, and they're speaking a certain way. They sung, well groomed and all the vocabulary. And you hear how I talk. That's nowhere close to it. So at that time, you're trying to be someone else, or someone else is telling you should song like that person. So you being able to be authentically you, whatever that might look like, that's me being my best self, risking it all and just being me and loving myself, and just loving myself. It's me. That's how I choose to talk. That's And at the end of the day, even with Toastmasters, I was able to win the humorous competition in my district. Coming from someone that was scared to talk in front of people to winning that competition, that is huge for me. And even when I was going through the levels of the competition, I had people tell me, oh, it's too many white people in the audience, they wouldn't be able to get it. Oh, I don't think that's a little too much, you shouldn't say it like that, maybe you should say it like that. Of course, all the people that told me that never win a competition, but we wouldn't get into that. But it's just authentically being who you are and loving yourself while you're doing it.
Well, and for the young lady, or just any of the women that you empower, that you help, and they're saying to themselves, "I don't feel like I'm enough. I haven't been able to find my voice outside of my special group of people." What do you say to them? How do you help them come outside of their shells and
So,
become.
so I think the first thing, right? There's a lot of first things, right? So one thing I always tell people is finding your gift, right? And when people say that, everyone is like, I don't know what my gift is. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's anything you do, right? That that just comes so easy to you. Sometimes people say, "Is anything you do that other people find hard to do?" Or, but it's anything you do that you just don't have to think about it, and it's just so simple, right? So I think it's focusing on what you're good at, what your gift, what makes you happy. Because once something makes you happy, so much could come from that after. And beside that, even though you said one thing, for me is again one a lot of times is self-love. And I always tell people sometimes when we thinking about self-love or thinking about just ourselves, we try to think too grand. And I think a lot of us is just like if you make a goal or a resolution, you want to lose weight, but you want to lose you weigh 300 pounds, but you say you're going to lose 100 pounds in a month. I think we try to go too big. And I always tell people just do the small things. So people always say affirmations, but then people want to write this whole long letter to yourself. I'm like, fam,
Yeah.
just
We
do
got
the simple
1,000
thing.
affirmations.
Right. And then, and always in the beginning, what do we do? Anytime we learn something new, we get excited. You write out this long letter, say it in the mirror, read it every morning. And the first 2 days, you're like, hype. By the third or fourth, you fall off. So I always say, keep it something simple. I love you. I forgive you. I commit to you. Like just something simple and something you could say at any time because you have to start with you. And if you don't start with you, honestly, everything else is lost. So just do simple things, small things, people. Make it habits.
When we think of the people that you hang around, like they tell us, I don't know who they is, but I guess I believe it. The
Zig
association
Ziglar.
that we have,
Zig
right?
Ziglar was one of the first ones to say it. Jim Rohn and then Zig
Yeah,
Ziglar.
yeah. Zig Ziglar. Yeah, talk about the associations and the people that you hang around. How do you find the right circles or the groups of people that help you and move you forward? And then how do you stop the people, or what do you do with the negative
Well, you
people?
asking me like 10 questions in one. The first
Of
question is how you
course.
find the people, right?
It's a
All right.
two-sided question. Everything's two-sided, right? There's this and that. You've never seen a two-sided piece, a one-sided piece of bread, or one-sided coin,
Well,
or
I'm only looking
pancake.
at one side at a moment, right? One
Okay,
side at a
so
time.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
we'll flip the side. So associations, talk to me.
Okay. So again, after you find your gift and stuff, right? Find
Uh,
yourself in places with like-minded people. So, and again, you could fail at a lot of these things in the beginning, but that join different groups. It's have so many things out there. So, for instance, I do Toastmasters. It have for me it's New York Black MBA. It's I go to something called Momentum Education, conferences, seminars. There's so many, and first of all, there are a lot of free stuff to begin with. But find like-minded people. You'll be amazed of so many connections you can meet when you in certain circles. And again, if you continue to work on yourself, you're going to be attracting the right people. And I think people fail at that. Some people just sit down with their regular friends that half of them ain't doing much and then expect things to immediately change.
gotcha. Well, Miss Francois, I live in Des Moines, Iowa,
Oh my God.
and I can't find
Sorry.
anything to do. I don't live in New York, so I can't find. What do you look for on YouTube or online or places? Because I'm not finding any of what you're talking about in Des Moines, Iowa. I don't live there. Obviously, I'm just saying, but that
I'm not going to say you
anyone
need to move.
watching, I'm sorry, move. That's it. You got to move.
Yeah, sometimes you have to take chances, right?
Yes. Risk, because you can reverse it if you don't like it. You want to go back to Des Moines, Iowa. I've driven through Des Moines, Iowa. I don't. There's no way. I can stay there. I couldn't even stay there for the night. I had to drive through. Sorry for the folks that live in Des Moines, Iowa.
But sometimes when I hear certain like states or tongues, I'm like, don't sound like I should be going there. I'm good.
Rapid City, North Dakota. You can't wait to go
Nah, I'm good. But thank you.
there.
Thank you for the offer.
So, how do you find stuff online that can help you move forward? What do you look for?
I mean, first of all, it's 2025, people. Really? If I have to tell you, you should be ashamed. Even if you go to Eventbrite and type in code word, we have social media. If you're typing is what you're looking for, right? But you have hashtags, so many things according to what you're following. But people are so busy following the shade room and World Star, or whatever they call it, this following the wrong thing. How come we could easily find those things, but can't find supposedly things to better yourself and to make you the best person? It's
I see people just scroll. Like I can't move myself to watch cat videos or to watch half the stuff that's there. Like, how is that going to impact my life? Because there's entertainment and there's education, right? And so
true.
I want to be entertained. There's times to be entertained, but I can't spend my whole life, especially if I'm broke or I'm trying to move forward and I can't do stuff. I have no business watching entertainment.
No,
Send the
and
TV
it's
over.
very distracting because, like, so one of the things with like the Netflix and all those things, right? I'm not big on TV, but you have your shows that you watch. But I always tell people when they say, "Oh, you should check out this particular show," I always go, "Is it a series or a movie?" If it's a series, I said no, thank you. Because again, we in the season, this the space of we're able to binge watch 9 seasons. Each 9 season have about 12 to 16 episodes. That's my whole life. All those people on TV, they know what their gifts are and they're getting paid. Am I getting paid to sit down and watch them? So I don't think people are thinking. I think a lot of times we are so unaware and we just going through the motions that and until we wake up one day and we're like 60 and 70 and then you want to know where did my 20s and 30s go. And then these are the same people that's going to say, "Oh, I never have time." Really? You just choose to you're using your time for what you want to use it for. And then when something comes up for you to pursue or put some work into it, all of a sudden you don't have time. We all have the same exact time.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day, and that's
Yes, as far as I know.
yeah. And so if I have time, how come you don't have time? What is it you
Right.
do
Because
with
people
your
will say
time?
they don't have time. And the first thing I say, I'm like, "So what TV shows do you watch? What's the last movie you watch?" Right. And then they'll start naming all the shows. And I'm like, "So you don't have time." Okay.
Oh yes.
And how come we have so many things made so much easier? Washing machine, microwave, like we have meals being, the grocery delivering the meals. Yet more time we things are created to free up our time. Now we have Google. You don't have to get up and go to the library. How come we have less time now? So what were people doing 20, 30, 40 years ago? When they actually had to wash clothes by hand. I'm Trinidadian, so it was washing clothes by hand. Right? So I just don't understand the logic.
I mean, before we had cell phones, how do we go to a restaurant and eat with somebody without a cell phone in our hand to talk to
Right?
somebody else that's not in front of us?
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Okay, and it's just like people, "Oh, I don't have time to call you." Really? So you have to go find a payphone? Like what?
Get in the booth and yeah.
Yes, people don't think. I think we don't. The Earl Nightingale. That's one of the biggest thing he said. The godfather of motivation is
Mhm.
we don't think. We say some of these things that comes out of our mouth and we're not thinking.
We're not thinking. Well, it's so evident that you spend a lot of time on developing yourself, and it shows. And as we think of people who don't or not willing, yeah, I mean, it's very evident that you put time in, and I'm sure money too, into making yourself better. How do you help folks that just that they complain so much, and the answer is go work on you, but they
And I
don't
think that's the thing. You see how you said, how do you help some people? Like sometimes you just don't.
you don't
Okay,
you
either
can't.
you don't,
Yeah.
because someone once told me to say, if you like a 10 and you try to help someone who is a 4 and they reach to a 6, but with all that energy you put in, now you're a 7. So how does that work? So I mean, just be conscious. You got to be aware and just conscious of certain things. Sometimes it's just not worth it. Because before, especially when I was in relationships, I'll be with this person and they're like, "Oh, I want to have this business." I would go read up on the business, find out all this information, and he's not doing anything. And so I'm helping who? It's just amazing how people think.
We had a quote that that I heard that a couple
Oh,
weeks ago. I don't know what it was,
right.
and I
Yep.
want to hear. Yeah, I want to hear how you answer because it just hit me, and I've been asking people. It says, "Enough is not an amount; it's a relationship with what I have right now."
Oh, it's a relationship. So it's basically what you have right now this exactly enough is this is what you have in this present moment. And it's what you do with what you have at this present moment could continue. Again, it's all about growth. To me, that whole statement is about growth, but
Okay.
being present and being grateful and being happy with what you have in this present moment.
Yeah, because enough. When I think about that, enough is not. I mean, it's if it's always an amount, we can never hit it because
Right,
the
because we
amount
always
changes.
right, because you always want more. You want the bigger, fancier car, the bigger house. You and that is something I always wrestle with just being present, because it's always this. You know, and this. Then I die. It doesn't work. So sometimes you just even have to, just the simple thing as walking outside and being like, look, a tree. Wow,
Mhm.
but that's so hard in this day and age. It's amazing how hard it seemed to be. You know, but it's how much time I always tell people, sometimes instead of driving, just be the passenger. Because when you're driving, again, you're so focused, but when you're the passenger, you're like, when does this building come up? Oh my God, I didn't see the sign. Oh, I didn't know that tree was there. Like, you see so much more. So just be present.
I am so. We went on Denver. It's about 1,000 miles to LA, and we had to go to do a trip to LA. And so you got to drive through the Colorado mountains. You got to drive through Utah. Then you go into Nevada, a little bit of Arizona, and then you're finally in California. And so we're doing this. My wife and I are doing this in November, and we finally in the car. The car has like this auto drive thing, and I've made this trip probably in the last, I don't know, the last 50 years of my life. I probably made this trip at least 25, 30 times.
Wow.
But now the car actually drives itself. So I tell the car to drive, and there's like so much more world that I got to see.
Wow, right?
Now I'm still looking at the road because the car makes you look at the road.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh, this is a beautiful canyon. Oh, these trees been here. I know this road is like one freeway. You're in the car for 16 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, I didn't even know that world existed. I made that trip so many times.
Right.
And we
Isn't that
don't stop.
amazing?
Yeah, we don't stop. We just put this on like this, and we just do like this,
Yeah.
and then hope that we get through life. And we can't if we
Like,
don't.
I live where I live. I think it's 12 years now. And for like the first, I don't know, 8 years, I didn't even know none of my neighbors. Like, clueless. You get up and why it is that, think about it. You get up, we always in a rush. You
Mhm.
jump in your car, you just go, it's just, we just do, we're like zombies in a way, you know? And how I end up starting to know my neighbors, something was wrong with my car, and I ain't got nobody, I ain't got a man. They ask the neighbor, and he's like, I see you. You're the one that changed the color of your hair like every 6 months.
Oh no, so he know you.
And that just show how people be paying attention and watching you. But I most of the time when I leave in the morning, I don't come back to the night. So I don't really see anybody. And especially when it's winter, I always say, to me, winter in New York is like 9 months. And then you have 3 months of summer. That's how I feel. So you ain't trying to hang out outside. You inside.
Inside, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Amazing.
talk
Need to
about
pay
health a
attention.
little. Yeah, talk about health a little bit. What do you do to stay healthy, both physically and mentally, to be able to do all the things?
Well, let me tell you, because I look good.
Well, yeah, it doesn't happen from sitting home eating Cheetos. So,
So it's okay. So again, I read a lot, right? And since I'm all in personal development, I think people, it starts with your mind first of all, right? But it's so many things. So I'm someone that I detox, right, to just
okay,
clear those toxin out. I go to the gym. I do a lot of different things. I'm conscious of what I'm eating. Again, I won't say, oh, I'm not like gun ho and I don't eat this, I don't eat that. It's just I pay attention. It's not like you say, watch what you eat. I literally watch what I eat. So if you know, I ain't gonna go to McDonald's every other day or whatever. Well, I barely go there, but it's just
you work
for
there. You
me.
definitely going there.
For me, it's just being conscious. I have one body. And I go to the doctor, I do my full medical in the beginning of the year, right? And this is how I do my medical. After he takes everything and I go back in, I was like, okay, just tell me how perfectly healthy I am. And I'm one of the health, and I'm proud of myself. Like when they have those things to check off, like what pills you on, mine's always no, I have nothing. So I am grateful. No, nothing. They ask you what things do you do? What pills do you take? I'm like, vitamins. I don't know. Nothing. So I am super, and this is me putting in that work, reading, following through action steps. I ain't saying it's easy. I hate the gym just like I hate school, but I understand what is it, the pain of regret or the pain of what is the word? I can't remember, but is that or the pain of regret or the pain of I can't remember the other word, but it's like I would rather not the pain of regret,
Yes.
because in the moment we think everything is no big deal, but these things catch up with you as life continues. And no, I know this is all I have, so I'm keeping it to the best I can.
You said the pain of doing it now or the pain of regret later, and then your
Yeah.
body sucks and you can't get up, you can't do things. Mental health. Let's talk about a little bit about mental health. Is there things that you need to do? I mean, humor is a great part of it. Laughter is a huge part of
Yeah.
healthiness. And, when I think about mental health and being healthy physically helps you to be mentally healthy. But, we all go through stuff and we all have to figure out what to do. What do you do to just make sure your mind
I mean,
stays?
we're human. Last time I checked, this is what I tell people. I kind of take part of Les Brown. Les Brown says, called life. Like,
Yes.
why do you think you're going to be happy every day? Well, who are you? Jesus wasn't happy every day, right? So, like, calm that down. He threw over tables in church and stuff. He was angry a few times. Like, I tell people when they read the Bible, I read the Bible differently from some people read it, okay? Jesus was angry,
Oh, yes.
right?
Several times.
So again, to me, it's okay to be in the moment of whatever you're feeling. I think the problem always lies because we stay there too long, and that's the problem. But it's okay to be in the moment, feel what you're feeling, your emotions, so forth and so on. But I think as all the things that I've learned, I mean, after a while, you know different strategies. Sometimes I like, damn it. Sometimes I like being ignorant, but you know what you need to be able to do. And sometimes it's just even calling a friend. Like I don't believe in friends per se, because everybody have friends. My BFF, my friend, friends with benefits. So I think friendships kind of water down to me. We all could have friends, but they're not that special, right? They're just for different things, right? The friend you drink with, the friend you sleep with, I don't know, just friends. But I believe in having confidence. And if you look up the word confidence, for me, you only have one or two of three if you're lucky in your entire life. And your confidant is your close personal person that is there to mostly listen, empower you, be there for you. A lot of times when you have the friends, they always go, I told you not to. They That's why I'm like, you could categorize different types of friendships, but that person that's going to really be there and listen and be there for you, sometimes you just call that person. And a lot of times when you going through something, you just want to get it out. You don't need no one to solve anything, because a lot of times, guess what, we already know the solution
Of course we
most
do.
of the time.
Of course
But
we do.
sometimes you need to hear yourself talk, and you need someone to listen. So that confident when listen and not say, I told you so, or let me give you the 12 steps. Nah, nobody need no step. Some people just need people to be there for them.
Has faith played a part in your life at all?
Oh, God, Jesus. Hallelujah. Amen. Jesus is good. So I grew up in church, right?
Yeah.
And when you grow up in church, I mean, I was in the choir, Bible study,
Mhm.
vacation Bible, everything. I mean, and you go through life journey, you come to America, things changes. But I would say I stayed in church, but I feel like I was just going to church because you're supposed to go to church, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I would say as of like November of last year, I've been like much more committed, like in reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, learning to fast the right way. It plays a huge, huge part for me. I wish I was doing this more, because like even I read the Bible like every day now. And this is the first time in all my years of reading the Bible is that all of a sudden the words come to life. I think because I'm in a different space now. And even with fasting and getting closer to God and understanding his word has definitely bring me in a better space. So yeah, and when you think about it, we should be living like Jesus. Jesus had 12 friends. Like, so obviously he had his favorites. John, I have a problem with John. Like Peter, James, and John. He had his confidants. So he had all the other people, right? And this is why I try to get to people. Jesus had 12 people, and still Judas, you could even trust him. So who are you? I know I'm super intelligent. I don't know how to do this. Oh my God.
Yes, you're doing it well. Um, but I was selfish because I get to ask all the questions that I love. So what do you want to talk about that we didn't get to talk about it, and we didn't spend time talking about that. You want to make sure that
I like these kind of conversation. I don't have
yeah,
anything. I mean, to me, all the things we talk about, it's about life, right? At the
yeah,
end of
yeah,
the day.
absolutely.
So I think that's what we did on this conversation. We talked about life. I think people got a very good understanding of knowledge of who I am as a person. And I'm cute too, easy on the eyes. So I think I'm fine. I mean, if they want to know more about me, they could definitely check out my website. It's my name, Miss Francois, and you could always follow me on social media, see all the amazing things I'm doing. Join in, DM me. I'm pretty much open, almost an open book. You don't need to read, like, some of the chapters are missing, but I'm there.
When you get to travel, where people can come see you and spend time with you, and are you going to do
Well,
that national tour and come to Colorado so I can come see you?
well, for two
I'm
people to
not going back to New York, not especially in the winter. Then the summer's too hot. You guys got so much humidity and
okay, we're in Texas. Calm down. Okay? Texas is different. My mom live in Texas. I go there pretty often. That's
okay.
heat. Okay? And plus,
That's
ain't nobody want you here. You act like we are. I asked you to come here. Ain't nobody want you here. Stay which part you are.
I'm gonna stay right here.
But
Head west, not east. Oh my God.
once I'm on Instagram, and for the older people, Facebook, or even TikTok for the younger people. I mean,
Okay.
I have things posted on because the next thing I'm gonna be, I do something in New York. Like, I do my comedic monologues. That's gonna be for Women's Month. I have a few things. Women's Month is one of the busiest months. Then I'm gonna be going to Savannah for a Women's Summit. So believe me, if you check out social media, everything is right there. Hopefully you all can read, right? Okay.
I would hope so. If you somehow had to type in a URL or something to even get to this podcast. So if you're watching us, we assume that you can read, or that you're blind and somebody's doing it for you and you're saying stuff. But either way, you're going to be able to hear it. So just enjoyable. I'm going to send you my book, which is called, I don't know, There's No Tiger.
There is no tiger.
Yeah. So
Does it
it's
have something at the bottom?
Yeah, overcoming overthinking and controlling anxiety. And
Wow.
so I wrote a book.
Yeah, we need a lot of that these days.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it is fun. My son works for Pixar, and so he did the cover and everything for me, which is really cool.
He works where?
Pixar.
Oh, for real? Oh, look at that. I know people now. That's awesome.
Yeah, we could go to Disneyland for free. Not that I want to spend any more
Well, you
days.
know, aren't you say we related some? We related,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Okay. I feel like we family.
But there's a story in here. My very first story in here is about my trip to St. Martin in the Caribbean, and so you'll enjoy that part of it. And yeah, it was a disaster, but it turned into a life moment that made a huge difference.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for being on with me today. Thank you for spending your time and taking out so that we can do something. I hope that our paths will cross again somewhere, someplace, somehow. Because it has been, like you said, I will enjoy spending time with you. I will enjoy the time together. And I think just us having this conversation can help others. And so go ahead and hit, what do you call it, the bell and the notifications. And if you think this is good for somebody, share it with them. Sometimes we get so happy, well, if I share them, they don't like me. They're not going to hate you for sharing a video with them, I promise you. It's not going to happen. They'll just not watch it. But there's, I'm not saying ask them 25 questions about it, but just share it with both that you have. And so, hey, don't forget that you are God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to. And then do you have any one last closing thought that you would love to share with anybody here?
I just always, in this moment, just do something for yourself. Put yourself first. And I think a lot of times we all into serving each other. But I think Lisa Nicole said something along the lines of your job is to basically keep your cup full so you can serve others with the overflow. So that's what I would say. Put yourself first and make sure your cup is full before trying to help anyone else.
I love that. And serve people with the overflow. Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you the next time. Have an amazing rest of your day.